18 years ago, on February 4th, 2002, the first ever Predator drone was used in a coordinated attack aimed to kill Osama bin Laden. Even though the mission was not a success, it is still considered a very significant milestone in the advancement of military vehicles and warfare. Following this attack, militaries all over the world have started to turn to the use of drones in the place of ground troops. In this speech, we will look at the history of drones, the different types of drones used, and the capabilities that these drones have. The first use of a drone or unmanned vehicle was in warfare was in the 19th century. In 1849, the Austrian military launched over 200 balloons armed with bombs towards Venice. A quote from the Presse of Austria, which was an Austrian newspaper at this time, stated, "Venice is to be bombarded by balloons. As the lagoons prevented the approach of artillery, 200 balloons, each 23 feet in diameter, are in construction in Treviso. In a favorable wind, the balloons will be launched and directed as near to Venice as possible, and on their being brought to a vertical position over the town, they will be fired by electromagnetism by the means of a long isolated copper wire with a large galvanic battery placed on the shore." By reading this quote about how the balloons were supposed to work, we can see they would be directed and detonated by an electromagnetic force. Here, as you can see, these are some of the blueprints drawn up for these balloons and how they were to be used. By using electromagnetism, we can see the Austrians had almost successfully created the first drones. The reason I say almost is because out of the 200 plus balloons that were sent, almost all of them made it to Venice. However, the wind had changed and blew a few of these balloons back over Austria while they were detonated. The first use of the term drone originated with the de Havilland DH-82B Queen Bee, which is a radio-controlled biplane developed by the UK in 1935. At first, it was a manned aircraft, but a couple months after it was put into use, it was converted into a radio-controlled plane. This plane was only used as a target for the UK's anti-aircraft gunnery training, which means it was just used to be shot at by the UK's own aerial defense. The Queen Bee only weighed around 1,800 pounds, had a max flight height of 14,000 feet, and a max speed of 104 miles per hour, and was only able to fly 300 miles away from the radio control before it would fall from the sky. The first time a drone was used for surveillance was in the late 1950s by the USA. They realized by taking a radio-controlled plane and attaching a film camera to the underside, they could successfully take pictures of enemy countries without the risk of being caught and without the risk of manned aircraft being shot down and military troops being taken captive by enemy forces. Even though they were safer than manned aircraft, the advancements at this time for manned surveillance planes far outweighed the advancements for drones. When talking about drones, it is important to bring up the different kinds of drones that are used in the military. The two kinds of drones are armed drones and unarmed surveillance drones. As pictured here are some of the different armed drones that are used. The armed drones are usually a lot bigger than surveillance drones and are often referred to as unmanned combat aerial vehicles. There are currently over 40 types of armed drones in use all over the world. The most popular ones here in the US being the Global Hawk created by the Northrop Grumman Corporation and the Reaper manufactured by General Atomics Aeronautical Systems. This top right picture here, as you can see, is the Reaper drone. Both of these drones cost over $10 million and are commonly used here in the military. As far as surveillance drones go, there are a lot more types and sizes for these kinds of drones. You have micro and nano drones, which are seen here in the bottom picture, small tactical drones, which are the ones here in the top right, and medium-sized reconnaissance drones, which are the one you can see pictured in the top left. Nano drones, such as the Black Hornet, which is the type picture here in the bottom picture, are manufactured by the Norwegian company Prox Dynamics. They are usually 1 inch by 4 inch drones that are controlled remotely by a military man or woman in the field of battle. Drones of this size are usually only able to operate for up to 30 minutes on one charge. Despite the tiny size, drones like this can have night vision and even infrared cameras. Now, the small tactical drones are not small enough to be carried on one's person. However, they are able to be tossed into the air by the pilot and flown from there, as you can see in this top right picture. The most popular models of small tactical drones are the RQ-11 Raven, which is this one, and in France, the most popular small tactical drone is called the Fulmar drone. The RQ-11 Raven only weighs about 5 pounds and has a flight time between 60 and 90 minutes per charge. Most drones used in the military are the medium-sized reconnaissance drones, which are the ones pictured here in the top left. The most popular male drone or medium altitude long endurance drone is the Huron drone, which we have pictured here in the top left. The Heron is manufactured by the Israeli Aerospace Industries, or IAI for short, and can fly for 42 or more hours on a single charge. The Heron drone costs $10 million per unit and has a wingspan of over 53 feet. These male drones usually have a top speed of around 130 miles per hour. With all these different types of drones, there's no surprise that they have a wide array of capabilities. Modern drones such as the RQ-4 Global Hawk can be controlled from up to 14,155 miles away and have a max altitude of 65,000 feet. The first use of radio control was in 1897 when British engineer Ernest Wilson invented a torpedo that was controlled by radio waves. When looking at the capabilities of surveillance drone, it is important to look at the modern and impressive surveillance drone, which is the RQ-1 Predator drone. In the U.S. military, the two letters at the beginning of the name are used to distinguish between the different types of aerial vehicles that we have. If a vehicle has an R as the first letter, it is a reconnaissance drone. But if the first letter is an M, it is considered a multi-purpose aircraft, which means it is capable of being armed as well. The RQ-1 Predator is equipped with some of the most sophisticated monitoring equipment available on the market today. It has a full-color nose camera, a variable aperture camera, a variable aperture infrared camera for low-light situations, and a synthetic aperture radar, or SAR, for viewing through clouds, smoke, and haze. Every camera on the RQ-1 Predator is capable of providing real-time video to the pilot, as well as still frame radar images. Along with the cameras, the RQ-1 Predator is able to be fitted with a multispectral targeting system and 2 Hellfire missiles, which transforms it into the Predator MQ-1 hunter-killer drone. When a drone is fitted with the multispectral targeting system, it shoots a laser down to the surface of the Earth where it wants to strike. The laser has 2 uses. It can either be used to attract the Hellfire missiles, as they have a laser seeker attached to the end of each missile, or it can be used to make the calculations needed to find the trajectory and distance in order to launch the missiles. So in this speech, we talked a lot about drones. We talked about the history, how they came to be used in the military. We also touched on the different types of drones, and finally we talked about the different capabilities that these drones have and how all of them help. Whether we like it or not, drones are going to continue to be used in the military. However, just like all technology, they're going to be continuously upgraded and remade better and better and become increasingly safe. Thank you.